Hey, what's up guys? This is Martin from Rip Kodiak here, your favorite Giga Chad, obviously. And today, this is going to be a special one. Today I'm going to give you the pros and cons of living in Poland. Yes, I rarely talk about these things. You know, my content is mostly about personal development and becoming better as a person. But I feel like this is going to be a good video, okay? I just want to switch it up every once in a while. And a full disclaimer, I'm actually half Polish, half Norwegian. My family moved to Norway when I was 3-4 years old, and I lived there till I was basically 23. And then I decided to move to the Czech Republic. I lived there for a while, and I've been living in Poland for the past year and a half. So, yes, I might be a little bit biased, but that doesn't take away the fact that I'm basically mostly Norwegian. And I've lived in the Norwegian culture. I grew up there, and most of my mentality and character comes from... It's been born in Norway, okay? So it's been cultivated there. So without further ado, let's just get to it. So the first pro I'm going to give you about living here is that, and it's often mentioned, it's the low cost of living. Poland is one of the cheapest countries to live in. Yes, if not probably in the top 5, top 10 cheapest countries in Europe. Because back when I used to live in Norway, Norway is actually pretty expensive. It's one of the, Norway is known for being expensive. I mean, let's just start there. But here, like, everything is just so much cheaper. It's so cheap compared to Norway. Even in comparison to Western countries like, you know, France, Italy, even Croatia. I was in Croatia not that long ago. And the UK, obviously. So the cost of living here is pretty cheap. Everything basically, especially restaurants. Restaurants are ridiculously cheap. Drinks, water, any type of sodas. You know, going out, it's a lot cheaper than what it used to be for me. So that's a big pro. Sorry guys for the interruption. There was actually a biker that drove right past me. So the second pro I'm going to give you is that Poland is very homogeneous, and that means that most people that live in Poland are of Polish descent. I think roughly 96 to 97% of people that live in Poland are Polish, and I love that. It's a staggering number, especially compared to Norway. I think that 20% of people who live in Norway are of a foreign descent, which is crazy. I mean, that means that only 80% of people that live in Norway are Norwegian, like 100% Norwegian. So it's a big difference. But that makes it a unique place to live in. And I mean, there's something special about Poland, especially when you live here in the summers. You can like just walk right next to your neighborhood park, and you can see like some old people who are hanging with each other, you know, on the bench, local park bench. They're drinking, they're smoking. I mean, they're having a lot of fun, okay? And they're just very talkative. They're very social with each other, and I love that. It's the total opposite of what I used to experience in Norway. Like Norwegian people tend to be very closed off. They're not as social, but here people are very social. Like if you're a talkative person, you're an extrovert, you're gonna find your place here, okay? Especially if you know the Polish language. So the third pro I'm gonna give you is the amazing architecture that Poland has. Especially if you go to Krakow, Poznan, or Gdansk. I mean, it's amazing. The medieval, you know, architecture, type of architecture, it's amazing. It's so beautiful. It's insane how it is able to, you know, pass the test of time and it's still staying there. It's amazing, you know. This is something that you're not really going to see in any place, in that many countries in Europe. Like, I didn't really experience this in Norway or Sweden or even Czech. I mean, Prague has some very old buildings that come from the medieval times. Same thing with Poland. So that's a nice place. Like even my grandma, for instance, one of my grandmas, she lives in Torun, and right there's a couple castles, and it's beautiful. Okay, we have these amazing bridges, these old school type of buildings that come from the night era, and this is beautiful. Okay, so the fourth pro I'm going to give you is the amazing highways, and this is something that people don't really talk about. But in comparison to what I was used to in Norway, the highways here are fucking amazing. They're beautiful. They're taken care of. They're so smooth. Like this is like a dream for you when it comes to driving. They're free as well, most of them. We have some paid highways here and there, but the vast majority of them are free. They were funded by the government, by the European Union, and it makes it a very nice travel. So it makes it, they're just very nice to drive on. I love them. So the fifth pro I'm going to give you about Poland is that Poland is a very developing country. It has the highest GDP growth per capita since COVID. It has one of the lowest unemployment rates. And it is generally very, very safe. Like, you're not really going to get... The crime rates here are incredibly low. It's one of the safest countries in Europe. If not the safest one, I think. I think it's the safest one, actually, in terms of statistics. Like, no one's coming to rape you. No one's coming to steal something from you. No one's gonna, like, assault you or anything. This is basically non-existent here. So if you're a woman who's watching this, this is a very, very safe place. So the next pro I'm going to give you is that this country is very religious and very family-oriented, which means that people actually want to have families here. People still believe in traditional values. People still want to, you know, live the traditional family lifestyle, and I love it, okay? It's so cool to see, like, people who still believe in the traditional lifestyle. That men should be men should be masculine, women should be women should be feminine, and I dig that, okay? There's very few places on earth that are still like that. I mean, it's crazy around the world, okay? So anyway, next pro. So the last pro I'm going to give you is the amazing food and cuisine that you have here. The food here is on a different level, okay? We have pierogi here, bigos. We have all these traditional meals that are very special for Poland, and I love it, okay? And people love this place, okay? They love the traditional cuisines and all the traditional meals. They're very popular here in Poland, okay? And a lot of foreigners dig them too. So, that's it for all the pros. Now I'm going to give you some cons, which, I mean, if you're Polish and you're watching this, you know, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just telling you guys the truth, the objective truth about Poland, okay? So, the first con I'm going to give you about Poland is that Poland has a Slavic mindset, has a very old school Slavic mindset. And what does that mean? It means that people still believe in communism, especially the older Polish people. This has to be said. Now, I'm not saying that all Polish people are like that, especially, like, particularly the young people. When I say, like, from 15 to 35, 40, they tend to be very innovative. They think outside the box. They're not as judgmental. They're not as close-minded as the older folks. And that's cool. But the older Polish people, especially the very religious ones, they still tend to believe that, you know, money is bad. That, you know, oh, if you're thriving in life, the other man has to suffer and he's losing because of you. You know, you should tax the rich man. You should, you know, tax the rich people. Your boss is evil. Corporations are evil. That's the mentality of most Polish people. This is the propaganda that they grew up with, and it's terrible. Okay, but this is changing. So kudos to that. So the next con I'm going to give you about Poland, and this has to be said. Okay, I'm not trying to embarrass anyone here. I'm not trying to offend any Polish person who's watching this. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay, and by the way, I'm actually stopping the video every now and then because of these stupid mosquitoes. But the second con I'm going to give you is that Poland lives a very unhealthy lifestyle. Most people that live here, they're obese. They drink a lot. They drink a lot of beer. They smoke a lot. I mean, Poland is famous for that, for drinking a lot of vodka. Same thing with Russia. I mean, that's like the typical stereotype, right? But it's true. Like, I can just walk into a normal ass store like Lidl or Biedronka, and most men that I see, they're so fucking fat. They're so unhealthy. They hold these wrinkles. They're just they don't take care of themselves at all. I would say women are on the better side. Like, women just, like, it's very common to live to be here and see women who are in their 30s, 40s that are in amazing shape. Okay, so I'm not talking about the women here, because women do take care of themselves, especially like the MILFs. Yeah, they're very healthy. But the men, no. You guys have to work on yourselves, especially compared to Norway. Like in Norway, for instance, it's very rare to see a man who's like in his 40s or 50s and he already has a fucking big belly. It's basically non-existent. Like, there's a lot of people that take care of themselves. And especially and even the older people who are like in their 60s, 70s, they're pretty fit in Scandinavia. But here, like when they're in their 60s, they're already walking on crutches. They have all these pills, you know, they have all these medications, you know, they have all these prescription drugs. But that's the consequence of not living a healthy lifestyle and being active, obviously. Sorry guys, these mosquitoes are fucking killing me. So the third con I'm gonna give you is smog and pollution. I'm not sure if you can see it right over there, but smog and pollution is a big problem here in Poland. I mean, obviously the government and the people in positions of power are trying to reduce the CO2 emissions, but they're taking some steps to improving that, but this is a big problem here in Poland. So I just have to say this, because in comparison to Norway or even Prague, like the air here is not good at all. You can maybe see it right here. Okay, anyway, next con, okay, is that people are generally speaking negative here. They don't appreciate their country, especially the native Polish people. And this is such a shame because they don't see how good their country is. Most of the Polish people who live here, who've been born here and who've lived here for a long amount of time, they think that, you know, they have this mentality of, you know, the grass is always greener on the other side. But it's not always true. That's why so many Polish people, they've emigrated and lived in different countries, and then some of them actually came back, and now they appreciate the country a lot more because it has grown. It's developed so much over the past years, actually. Especially, I remember when our family moved to Norway, and you know, back then Poland was poor. It was a pretty poor country, but now it's, you know, it's a developed country. It's growing, and I love that. Okay, but this has to be said. It is very much unappreciated by Poles, and you're going to encounter this from time to time. They're saying that Poland is, you know, a finished country, that it's been ruined by politicians, that there's no hope, but this is BS, okay? Next con. This is one of the biggest cons that foreign people will encounter here, is the language barrier. Like, Polish is a really difficult language. It is certainly not one of the easiest languages to learn. And if you want to integrate, if you want to connect with Polish people and really be like accepted in their community, you have to know Polish. Otherwise, they're not really going to accept you. And I've seen this time and time again. Like, especially foreigners and people who come from Islamic countries or African American people, they can have a big problem here with meeting new friends who are native Polish people. They can have a big problem with this. And it's because Poland tends to be a little bit racist, I think. No, this might piss a lot of people off, but I do think that a lot of Polish people, especially the older ones again, because they come from the communist-minded era, they think that Poland should only be Polish. They believe in nationalism, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a very good thing. But the racist part, I think it's not so cool. They should definitely work on that. But I mean, it's their country. They've been fucked and invaded and, you know, taken advantage of so many times throughout history that, you know, I don't blame them at all. So the last thing I'm going to give you, and this has to be said as well, this is tied to the low cost of living, that the salaries here are lower in comparison to Western countries. But I mean, this is not a big deal to me because I have a business online and I'm making money from a different currency most of the time. So this doesn't bother me because I'm taking advantage of a stronger currency. And, you know, it's not a problem for me. But people who want to live here and who want to, you know, be employed by a Polish company or by a foreign company in Poland, you might have a problem with this in comparison to, especially when it comes to your salary, you know. So that's something to consider if you want to live here. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found a lot of value in this video. I tried to make it as short as possible because of these stupid ass mosquitoes that keep flying around me. That's why I had to stop and had to stop the video all the time. It was a complete nuisance, okay? But anyway, thank you so much, and I wish you guys a beautiful day. Stay strong.